there was like 25 musicians singing on a stairwell.
It was a disaster to orchestrate.
Absolute disaster.
It was really
like,
cool. It's funny because looking back on it, it was a mess because we were doing it in one take. So we would get 18 out of 20 people have already sung their song, but the 19th person would mess up.
Yeah.
We got to start over again. Social media is so saturated right now. I mean, the amount of videos that are uploaded every day, it's really, really hard to stand out with just a great concept. I feel like there's two parts to it. There's like just coming up with a great idea and figuring out the logistics of how you're going to shoot the idea. And then there's also coming up with like the specific format and the editing around it so that it can be successful. I've noticed a lot of people that are in jobs and careers that they just don't like, right? And it like, you can see their pent up anxiety and like frustration with it. I'm very fortunate that I'm in a creative space. I get to do what I love. I get to create every day. That's the success. It's like, if I can keep building something that gives me and the people I'm around a chance to still be creative and do what we love, like that's a win.
Guys, today we're talking about music. We're talking about all things music. We're talking about media. We're talking about content creation. And we have Chris Ruediger here. I'm not going to try to say his last name, but it's a German last name, and you can say it so I don't butcher it.
Well, I mean, the last name is Ruediger, but
Ruediger.
I thought about changing my stage name. I was a recording artist prior to now doing the business stuff.
Yeah.
And Ruediger is hard and everybody mispronounces it, so I thought about changing it to Rudy so that it would just be
all those like MCs at like these different concerts, like, oh, it's Chris.
Yeah,
Ruediger.
It's Chris, and they do the same thing. They pause, but they try to say it because they have to say it.
Yeah,
and I would say on average about 30% success rate. So I appreciate you for shorting.
When you find yourself talking to a German, do they get it right immediately?
Yes.
Like if they speak German fluently.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
But I haven't met all that many people that are fluent in German.
I know 3.
Yeah, I haven't gone to Germany. Actually, it's a place that I'm actually going to Germany this summer for the first time. Very excited.
Where in Germany are you going? I'm excited for you, man. Like
we're going to like
awesome.
Hamburg and then Cologne and then
are you doing Munich or Berlin?
Stop in Munich for like a day. I actually like if there are any travel recommendations that you have or anybody that's watching this.
How long of a trip are you doing? Are you doing 30 days? You doing like a 2 week?
It's like 4. It's like only 4 or 5 days there because it's actually part of like a larger trip across Europe. So I'm gonna go bounce around to a couple other countries as well.
Are you going to Italy?
I am going to be in Italy.
I can give you recommendations left and right all day.
Yeah, let's go.
I lived in Italy for almost a year, and so I love that country, and it's near and dear to my heart. But yeah, we'll talk about some recommendations afterwards.
I love it.
What cities are you going to in Italy? We'll just talk about it right now.
Let's talk about it now.
Let's build the itinerary right now.
We're going to. We got Florence.
Okay, Florence is beautiful.
I actually need to pull up this.
Florence, okay. So
I need to pull up this. We have everything in like it's in like Master Tour, which is it's worth an artist that's like doing a tour for part of it. But then I decided since I'm already going to be over there,
I might as well
stay and then just like hit a bunch of cities. So I think like they're only playing in like Hamburg and Florence, I think, but I'm going to bounce around to like other areas in Germany and Italy, and then like we're going all throughout Europe too. So there's going to be like. We're going to Netherlands. We're going to go to UK, like London. We're going to be in Ireland.
That's a great trip,
dude. It's like 4 weeks.
That's awesome.
Pretty pumped about it.
So Florence is the first place. That I.
I'm trying to pull up the schedule.
Basically, ate raw lemons.
Raw lemons.
Yeah, which that's like they're known. Florence is known for the lemons.
Gotcha.
And all of Italy's known for lemons. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But the first lemon I had in Florence, because I would get a lunch because I was there for a couple days. I'll get a lunch. It was a piece of bread, prosciutto, and just like a fruit. And I was like, I'm gonna try some lemon.
Yeah.
So first lemon I had was like super sweet, super juicy, like delicious. You're like, oh, I could eat this like an orange.
Yeah.
The next day I did the same lunch and I got a lemon. My face, it was so sour. My face was numb on my left side. I was drooling for 3 hours.
Really?
It was a bizarre experience.
Talk about putting a wrench in your plans.
Yeah.
You got to cancel the day.
I didn't cancel a day. I just
powered through. Powered through with half a face, man.
Yeah. I felt like I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say I felt like a stroke victim because like I couldn't. Yeah. Talk. Okay, so Chris, in 2020, you guys started the 615 House, and it went super viral on TikTok and Instagram. You guys were getting millions upon millions of views per video, if I remember correctly. And you're still getting millions upon millions of views. Collectively right now, I think with everything that you guys are doing, you guys have like 2 million followers on all your different projects or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. We have that project has 3.1 million followers on TikTok.
Wow.
And then 400,000 on Instagram and another couple 100,000 on YouTube. It's like insane, man.
So that started your journey, and now you have a holding company called Fort Nash.
Yeah.
Which is a great name.
Thanks.
Especially for like a media holding company.
Yeah.
So what type of verticals do you have within this asset that you have?
So I appreciate you for complimenting the name, because we were actually nervous about naming it with like Nash being short for Nashville, and like
I'm Explore Nash.
Yeah.
Fort Nash, it reminds me of the historic Fort Nash borough.
That's exactly why we named it that.
And I know you guys are located near that area, but like it reminds me of the Civil War fort.
Yeah. Well,
not the Civil War fort, the fort that founded Nashville. Yeah.
It's interesting because we want it to be this company it's a media network, and we have so many different channels, and we're very progressive, I think, in a lot of like the different sectors we're entering, but we wanted to also stay like grounded and rooted in like authentic, like
organic content.
Yes. And specifically like country music and like country lifestyle is the through line. So what we have created with Fort Nash is we've identified like 4 distinct pillars that are all like relative to country culture. So one of them would be like music discovery, right? Like finding, new music or keeping up to date with the artists you love in country music. Another would be like humor and like parody, satire.
Which is always a historic, like if you look at the Grand Ole Opry, they always had a comedian. Yeah, a country comedian on it.
I just have always thought like comedians and artists and musicians, like there's such a great connection there. So we've started that channel, and then we have another channel that's tied into like lifestyle with country like culture. So that would be like we're working on some hunting and fishing shows and like just
I got some in that space. Like I got some stories for you. We met a gentleman a couple weeks ago when we were over in West Tennessee doing a fishing type experience. A guy named Boone. Boone, if you're watching, we're going to talk, but you need to talk to Boone.
I do need to talk to Boone.
Yeah,
he's a fisherman.
He's a hunter. He's a duck hunter over in West Tennessee.
Yeah.
He hosted a hunting TV show for like 7 years.
Wow.
This is how I met Boone. So we're filming at a hunting lodge over in West Tennessee off of Reelfoot Lake, and it's a fishing lodge too. And we're filming, and literally, all of a sudden I hear this anime music coming out of like this massive truck, and I come outside, and he's like, "Did I interrupt you?" And I said, "Yeah, you did. We're actually filming right now." And he said, "Oh, sorry about that. People around here call me Boone." And he literally looked at me and he's like, "You hear that duck?" And I said, "What duck?" And he said, "That duck." He looked up. He's like, "I'm gonna get you on Saturday." It was a cultural experience if I've ever had one. Then we ended up shooting guns together for a couple hours.
That's how it goes, right? It's anime music and duck calling,
and duck calling, and now you're learning how to shoot clay in a duck flush.
This guy seems like a good time though.
He was a great time. He was a funny gentleman.
Yeah.
So Boone, if you're listening, we're going to do some projects together in the future. But
that's awesome. So I guess we got what music discovery, comedy. We got comedy, we got culture, country culture, and then like just in like industry news. So like that's more kind of just like standard like what Bill Burr and Rolling Stone does, but specifically like in country, and I think like the genre of music and what it represents. So those are like kind of the 4 pillars we've identified, and really what we do is like we curate a lot of like premium content across these channels. Like we're creating original content. We have a studio here in Nashville, just like yourself, and we get to work with comedians, artists, personalities, and it's just so much fun, man. I think like the best part about it is by having all these different like channels, it's essentially having different voices, right? So one day we might really focus on like musical performances, but then the next day I'm going to like, an SEC tailgate, and we're going to like shoot some interviews around tailgate culture. So it's just like, it's been a really, really fun process as we've continued to expand like what 615 House is and now what the larger network is. And I'm just excited for the future because this year is like, we have so much stuff lined up, man. It's going to be awesome.
Well, we off camera, we have some projects that we're going to work on some really cool things together. Super excited for that. So what brought you to Nashville? Was it your music career? Was that brought you to Nashville?
Yeah. So it's funny. I feel like everyone has a different story as to like.
We just had a podcast interview. Weather patterns brought him to Nashville. He decided to move here based on weather patterns.
Okay.
And I'm like, did you look at all the history of the tornadoes?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Nashville does have, I will say Nashville has crazy weather. So if that's what brought you here.
We have good weather though too.
Yeah,
we
do.
Great weather.
Yeah. There's, ups and downs. It's a roller coaster, but no, I didn't come here for the weather. I came here I went to school here and
Belmont.
I actually went to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And I was studying economics and business at Vanderbilt during the day. And then Vanderbilt's campus and Belmont's campus are like, they basically touch like the
Hey, Victor, put it on the map.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah,
exactly. Put it on the map. So, and I would walk across to Belmont's campus to then play music with all the Belmont musicians during the evening. And I was
That's
singing
a really rare
it was weird,
Vanderbilt Belmont combination. Because like most people isolate, even though the campuses are right next to each other.
It was weird. Not a lot of Belmont and Vanderbilt students
interacted
to each other. And
two totally different demographics.
Well, and they're just, different majors, different personalities, all that stuff. But it was just funny because then sometimes I forget like where I was. Like I go back to Vanderbilt's campus and like, I'm singing songs and like trying to write music. And I'm like, wait, I'm in like a, math class. This is not it. But anyway, so that's like kind of how I got here. And I thought for a little bit, I thought I was going to move outside of Nashville. But, I love like songwriting. I love country music. I put out some recordings myself. And a weird thing happened in that I graduated right at the time when COVID started. And so like I didn't, the job market was kind of weird at the time. A lot of my friends were uncertain what they were doing. And really like the start of 615 House came at a place where, we were all trying to figure out, like myself and other artists trying to figure out how to like make the music thing work when we couldn't tour and everybody was like locked inside their house doing nothing. Right. So that's kind of how it started. But like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, like I am graduating Vanderbilt, like maybe I'll get a job at like consulting or something like that. But part of me, like I loved country music and I loved songwriting and recording. And I knew that like if there was an avenue to do that, I would want to do it. And I guess that's kind of like how it started. And at first I thought it was just a passion project, like to keep us busy during COVID. And it's crazy that it's now my job, What
are some major successes that you've had personally and from a business standpoint?
Dude, that's like a interesting question just because I don't like to brag, but let me start with the project because that's easier. It is so cool to watch. It's over the past 2-3 years, I have really watched friends of mine now become like
world class celebrities,
like well-known celebrities. Particularly in the country music space. So I started the project with Ashley Cooke, and she's gone on. She's a big, loud recording artist. Just put out a record with Joe Jonas.
Yeah, it's a mess. And then Spencer Crandall.
Spencer was there. Bailey Zimmerman came by our project. Meg Maroney has played a couple writer rounds.
Massive names.
Massive names that, and it's just funny because I see other friends of mine like back home or across the country that are going out and supporting these people. And like, they're crazy diehard fans, as am I, but I look at them as friends first, right? Because I like was there from day one. So it's just been a really cool process. And I think what makes us and the whole project different than everybody, or I should say than a lot of other places in Nashville, is we're all about collaboration. And so what's been really cool to me,
I think one of the coolest things from 615 House, if I remember correctly, you did a clip and there was like 25 musicians singing on a stairwell.
Dude, it was it was a disaster to orchestrate.
Absolute disaster.
It was
but
really
like,
cool. Yeah.
It still was like, that was like the most memorable content from you guys, is like you so collaborative and you're like, okay, let's have 15 musicians on a stairwell. And I'm like, how did you guys bring in like a jig to like film this? And like, was it all handheld? So I'm like looking at like the back end of like how you guys did this.
Yeah.
And I can't figure it out, but
it was cool. And all of it was live too. Like we with that stairwell, we were recording people. We weren't overdubbing like audio.
How many cameras were you guys running? Like, did you guys have like 6 cameras running at one time, or
I think we had 3 or 4 cameras. I mean, you could pull up the clip and show it, but I think we had 3 or 4 cameras. We took the audio from one camera, so it was consistent throughout. Okay. But we had multiple shots that were overlaid.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I think there was like legitimately 20 artists in this shot, and every artist had a different line.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
We
the logistics.
Like 20 times.
Walk me through the logistics of that, because Brett, like, I know, Brett, you know exactly what clip I'm talking about. Let's make sure to clip this.
Yeah.
Same thing, Victor. You guys know. But let's talk about the logistics. First off, arranging 20 artist schedules. That sounds like a headache in itself. Mm-hmm. How did you get all 20 people in the same room at the same time?
Yeah. Well, as you know, artists are not the most reliable and are always doing a million things. They overcommit. So to even get them at this venue that we were shooting at was like a win in our minds.
Yeah.
And then we had everybody there, and it was funny because
like, did your calendar system, like, everything's through Google Calendar, and you're like,
well, I mean, it is, and it's like, I mean, it's like trying to solve a puzzle, but we got a bunch of people there, which is great. And then we were talking, because one of the things I love to do is, we'll collaborate on creative ideas, right? We're just brainstorming like, hey, this is, an idea that we could shoot together. And everybody kind of had a bunch of different ideas that were really, really complicated. So I actually thought this was a simpler idea to execute than our other ideas, because everybody here can sing and knows music. And I said, why don't we all sing a song together? So that's how it started. And then after we did a video of everyone singing a song together, people were like, well, I want to, try this song and this song and this song. So then I said, why don't we all sing a different song, and we'll just like basically, like popcorn, like, you're just pass the baton and next person sings. And that's how it happened. But it's funny because looking back on it,
sounds probably like a chaotic mess.
Oh my God. It was a mess because we were doing it in one take. So we would get like, 18 out of 20 people have already sung their song, but the 19th person would mess up.
Yeah.
We got to start over again.
It's like an Elvis Presley situation at RCA Studio B.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
How long was the film day? 6 hours?
Yeah, we would probably start at, 9 or 10 in the morning and wrap up around like 4 or 5. So I guess 6-7 hours. We had, breaks and lunch.
Okay.
I think one of the things that I imagine you guys probably do this too as a media company, but it's really important to spend a lot of time just like throwing ideas at the wall. Like, again,
we do it all the time, but we have about 10,000 ideas that we haven't executed yet because we haven't had the right partners. Mm-hmm. But that's coming.
Sure.
But we spend. You guys probably do this on your lifestyle stuff. We spend an hour on a hook.
Yeah.
Just to figure out
the hook. Right.
And when we do that, it pays off.
That's
like
crazy.
we hypothetically, within our niche, we go viral, which for us is 100,000 views for our niche.
Sure.
Because we're highlighting Nashville restaurants.
Right.
But you guys have a little bit more, you have different pillars where you guys can go very viral because you're reaching a nationwide audience.
Yeah. I mean, I think the expansion for you guys, I think, would be just to do like fine restaurants and fine dining or city life in multiple cities, right? Not just in Nashville. I think what's crazy is social media is so saturated right now. I mean, the amount of videos that are uploaded every day, it's really, really hard to stand out with just a great concept. You need to have to like craft how you're going to get the hook or the intro and really suck people in for, whatever, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, however long your video is. And so it's kind of like I feel like there's 2 parts to it. There's like just coming up with a great idea and figuring out the logistics of how you're going to shoot the idea. And then there's also coming up with like the specific format and the editing around it so that it can be successful, So
with all the different types of content that you guys are producing, so that was the project. Let's go back to the successes of your personal life before we get to the next question.
Oh man, I think like the best part about this project for me has just been the relationships, like the people that I've met. I think all businesses, this isn't a music thing, right? I mean, life is about relationships, and I highly value relationships. And a lot of the people that I have met through this project have become close friends of mine, where we're constantly figuring out, is there a business opportunity to be had here? Or is it just like a friendship where we just get to, we get to hang out and, go to cool events together and, or, whatever, see each other, personally in life. And so that's been like a real win for me. And I think a big success is I think like my Rolodex of contacts and like people are in so many different aspects and walks of life. That's really fun and cool for me. And I try to just take advantage of those opportunities. So that's probably like my biggest win of this whole project.
With the project in mind, what's been a failure that you've experienced?
I can give you 2 failures. I'll give you 2 for 1. One of the hardest things I think right now is I'm trying to figure out how to word this best.
If I'm reading the room correctly, there's a lot of noise. Maybe you could say that word. A lot of noise.
A lot of noise, a lot of people. And when a lot of people are in a project, there's a lot of different objectives and goals, and you have to figure out.
It's like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's too many cooks, and it can get very clouded. And I also think what I guess I'm really trying to say is we have had a lot of videos that have been seen or viewed by a lot of people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we've earned their support and their long-term loyalty. And I think the mental game that so many of us play in the media space is like, how many more views can I get? Or how many more likes can I get? But that metric is kind of flawed because it's not really about the number of people you reach. It's about, this whole thing of like, it's like almost like the average loyalty or investment from a customer, right? Like, how do I really connect with somebody on a deep, deep, deep level where, they're going to be around for the next video or the next 10 videos I make?
Or the next 10 years.
Exactly. And I think it's scary because a lot of people are having moments and then a month, 2 months later, you forget about them. And I think trying to balance just that like pressure of like staying relevant with also like just the reality check of like, why am I doing this in the first place has been, maybe not necessarily like a failure, but just like a really tough thing to process. It's
this, the AI is going to overtake look at what's happening in China with this quick shopping. A lot of it's happening through AI. People are making $18-20 million in a month doing this 3-second shopping experience. There is a place for it. But I think if I'm correct in my prediction, which I think both of us being in media, we may have some predictions that may allow us to be correct.
Sure.
People are going to want a trusted source to go to that they've gone through for years. There's going to be, yes, of course, there's always, in the space I'm in, there's competition left and right. But most people in the space I'm in are not thinking 5 to 10 years ahead. Mm-hmm. If you can be that source, that trusted source, long term, you'll be very successful. Depending on how you define success. For me, success is a way different definition than what most people have.
Sure.
But like if you can take up...
What is your definition of success?
So everything I do is through the Christian worldview. Me being successful is being obedient to the Lord. Mm-hmm. That's success. I know I don't have a definition of it as a monetary thing or a famous thing. It's, am I being obedient to what Jesus has told me to be obedient to? Mm-hmm. That's success for me. Mm-hmm. So my definition of success is way different than most people's definition of success. And, we run in the circles of like, oh, if I make $100 million, I'm successful. If I make $1 million, I'm successful.
Sure.
Am I being obedient and loving my family well? That's my main definition of success. Mm-hmm. But I think where the audience, where it's going with all these AI things and this AI content is the trusted resource. I think companies, what's going to happen if these multi-million-dollar companies, and Gary Vee's been saying this for weeks, mm-hmm. is it's cheaper for them to create a fake AI that's a reliable, trusted source to promote these companies. So like Amazon and these big companies will create these fake AIs that they own the voice and likeness to and just promote their products instead of bringing in other people. So it's like this conflict of like, okay, we have all these new systems, but from a consumer standpoint, if you can take up mind space, like in the consumer, and like they're thinking about you, and then you consistently show up and you show up and you show up.
Right.
That mind space 5 years from now, hopefully converts to $50 to $60 a month from that consumer.
Right.
And then successfully long term, like you're okay, I'm in their mind space. I'm thought about.
Yeah.
And then you become that trusted resource. That's my perspective of it. What's your perspective of it?
That's it's such a crazy game out there.
It is a game.
I mean, I think the question of like how to build trust with a consumer is difficult in itself.
Oh, it's extremely difficult. So our mission statement as a company is to create actionable content to allow people to experience their local communities. That's been our mission statement from day one. For 5 years, we didn't follow through with that mission statement because we became a production company for other clients. Mm-hmm. But now we're in a position where we're able to do that.
Right.
But like that was day one. We want to get people off of their couch to go experience small local businesses. We want them to go adventure in state parks. We want them to go see caves. We want them to go over to West Tennessee and go hunt. Like right. we want them to go. We want them to get out and do.
Yeah.
That's always what we've been about. And so, all right, now back to you.
Yeah.
Earning audience trust. It's a very difficult thing to do.
It is. It's hard. I mean, I think like it comes from a place of, we try, and at least we're trying more, just like honesty with the way that we're shooting stuff. Now, a lot of people, there are some outlets out there that are, how do I say this? Conflicting for a lot of people. But I think like sometimes that's because they have spokespeople or personalities that are just, they're not afraid to say their opinion and and do it. And I think it's a balance of, telling people really how you feel or what the experience is, right? Whether that's successful or critical, and then inviting them into the conversation. And I think that's like super important because a lot of outlets will media companies, I think, are like projecting one narrative, and then a lot of people disagree with that narrative. So they're like not inclined to follow it anymore. But it's not a bad thing if they're projecting their narrative. It's just, I think, like welcoming in the opinions and how do you like incorporate the audience into the discussion, make them feel valued, is something that like we're really trying to work on as a way to build trust. So like listening, like not just scrolling aimlessly through comments, right? Or like avoiding, messages that you have, but like really taking the people that are following your documentation of whatever media it is and saying like, okay, like I hear you, like that's valued. And how can I use that to further the next piece of media we create?
So back to success. How do you define success?
Man, that's such a hard question.
And that's why like I took almost a year to pray through that because like what was happening with our account and the growth that we were seeing, and everyone's like, oh, you're so successful. You're doing all this. I have a fun job. My job is awesome, but it's taken a long time to get here. But like, I really had to pray through what that looks like. Mm-hmm. So I know my end goal in 5 years was my definition clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk about, I'm also at a certain place in my life where I'm fortunate in that like I am very career focused, and I haven't maybe thought about like 15, 20, 30 years from now. Because like, I have goals of like having a family and all and all that stuff. But I think what I care about right now is I'm a big advocate for, just, mental health and awareness. And I think like I've noticed a lot of people that are in jobs and careers that they just don't like, right? And it like you can see their pent up anxiety and like frustration with it. And so I think like for me, a big thing, I'm very fortunate that I'm in a creative space. I get to do what I love. I get to create every day, and I'm fortunate enough in that that's been like a sustainable and also in some cases more than sustainable job that allows me to experience great opportunities. So I think like for me right now, that's the success. It's like if I can keep building something that gives me and the people I'm around a chance to still be creative and do what we love, like that's a win, you know? And it doesn't feel like work, like people ask me, it's so funny because I have a lot of friends that have like the typical 9-to-5 job, and they always ask me like, so like, what is it like being in like, the music and media industry? Like, do you like go into the office at 9 and leave at 5? I'm like, no,
my days may start at 5 a.m. and I don't leave until midnight.
It doesn't matter. I'm 24 hours on the clock, baby. Because I do what I love.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like I need to go home or close my laptop or like stop work. I'm just doing what I love.
How can somebody in media that wants to get into media, or somebody that's starting an account, how can they, and you said it earlier, there's a lot of people that are uploading content. How can new creators separate themselves?
I think that a lot of people skip the very important step of identifying your brand.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it with artists. I've seen it with content creators, media channels. I think like people are chasing something and they forget to identify what is their brand and what's the mission statement that they're trying to project. Because I think a lot of decisions can be made from that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people to like really sit with the preparation of like, what is it that I'm trying to do? What is my brand? Is the brand like me, or is the brand like, you know, a broader company name? And then how is the content and what we do going to like fulfill the goal of the brand? Because I think it's really hard to like, once you build a brand, and I've seen it happen, but like a lot of people get success, but they're building something that isn't actually their brand. And it's very hard
it's not
to
sustainable.
pivot. It's not sustainable. Because then you don't have,
and then they have the burnout and
the burnout. Yeah, man. It's like brutal. And they don't have like the, you know, they don't have the, like the consumers that are actually interested in the brand that they're trying to do. So then there's like this weird disconnect. So we've been, and this is something, you know, this is mistakes that I have made. And so I'm trying to be very proactive about, you know, with what we're building and the people that we work with, is like have those conversations and take an extra hour or two, you know, to figure out what is the brand, what are you doing before you just jump into, you know, what you're creating.
Where do you see your company going over the next 5 years? Let's focus on the first year, and then we'll go year 5.
Okay. I love these discussions too. So I'm going to, after I answer, I want to kick it back to you, because I really want to know about your company as well. I think we kind of have like a few different phases to this. I think like right now, like we have identified ourselves. We want to be a place that really curates the best voices in country music and lifestyle.
Which you literally are, because they are the best voices, well, like from a singing perspective and literal perspective, they are the best voices.
We're trying, man. We're trying. So that's like step one for us. You know, and then from there, like we have lofty goals. Like I would love to, I love live events. I would love to have my own festival.
Okay, so your own like 615 House Festival, or more of a Fort Nash Festival?
Yeah, it'd be like a Fort Nash Festival.
Okay, so you can have like comedy, you can have music, you can have lifestyle.
Yeah, it'd be like
so
a multi.
okay.
It'd be like kind of like a multi act, like, you know, festival. Like you could go and, you know, you could show up and have like
live podcast recording, a comedy section, and a concert happening all at the same time.
Exactly.
That's cool.
You know, I don't know. Like,
is there a venue that can accommodate that?
Again, that's why it's a 3 and 5 year goal, not a 1 year goal. But we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that's like that's the goal for us. Is you know, we'd love to like build this audience and build a bunch of voices, and then like all bring that community together through an experience. And I will say one thing that is very important, and I think everybody should have this like, you know, check, particularly in the media space, is the digital content that we do is driving a connection with people online, but we still really value and love the physical like experience that you get from a festival or like a live podcast, you know, or whatever, like a restaurant opening, whatever it might be that you guys do. And maybe you feel the same way, but like it's all kind of like, I don't want to say pointless, but it's like, it's hard to really connect with people without like meeting them. And I think that face-to-face interaction isn't going anywhere. And so
it's makes or breaks society.
Yeah. What about you though? I mean, like, what's your goal?
Aaron, can I publicly? I'll say it. Okay.
You're checking in with the rest.
We're launching a TV channel.
Let's go
in the next year.
Yeah.
Which is
like super exciting, right?
It's super exciting. It's also extremely nerve-wracking because I need 168 hours of content to fulfill that channel. That's what we're going to talk about off air.
Yeah. Super exciting though, man. That's awesome.
The advertising opportunities and the control of content and the placements of where we want this. Mm-hmm. It's extremely exciting. I'm nervous from an operations standpoint because it's expensive.
Yeah, of course.
To get this off the ground, and you're like, where in the world is the money going to come in for this? Mm-hmm. Who do we have to ask to get that type of money to be able to pull this off? So that's one thing we're launching. We have some other products we're launching for our consumers this year. That's super exciting. And then 5 years from now, we're launching Explore USA.
Right.
And we will be the number one promoter of the United States with the longevity of where we're going and who we're going to partner with and bring on.
Right.
So that's the first public announcement of the TV channel.
I got to be here for the first public announcement. Let's go.
Explore USA. And we're working on the back end and systems. And if you don't have the systems as a content creator or I got asked this morning, what separates us from other influencers in Nashville? I said, first off, we're a brand. I'm not an influencer. I hate the word influence. I think everyone, no matter who you are, has influence. So everyone is an influencer. But we're a brand that helps small businesses be successful in their eyes. How can I do that on a nationwide scale? If you don't have the systems in place to be able to build a nationwide thing, it will fail. Look at some of these media companies that have recently closed.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed closing down their news thing and selling that. These news channels that are for sale. Like there's these massive media things that are just out there in the atmosphere that are for sale now.
Right.
And you're like, okay, so they've worked on this for 30 years and now they're just getting rid of that asset. Mm-hmm. So how do you have systems in place to build upon the assets that you have while also growing in a viral type manner?
Yeah.
And how do you have back end systems and processes that doesn't allow and now we're getting into the world of sponsorship. It's like you and I make our living on sponsorship. That's what we do right now. But how do we have a product where we don't have to maintain the business model based on sponsorship? Is it a membership model? Is it a different type of longevity product for our audience? Do we become a tech company? Like there's all these questions and answers that we have to ask, and we've been asking for a long time. Of like, okay, where do we want to be in 5 years?
Yeah.
What does that look like? I want to be able to go sit on a beach in Italy with my family and take a business call occasionally. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But now can I document that and monetize it?
It's really smart what you're talking about, because, and I think this, again, for media channels, anyone that's trying to enter this space, it's really important to identify two different things, right? There's the model you're talking about with sponsorships and partners, which is, it's a service-based model because you're taking dollars from somebody that is trying to advertise through your media, right? There's a certain scalability to that is never going to really compound into significant value. Whereas on the flip side of that, you can be building equity in your own assets. And I think that's like what you're getting at, which is super important. You're not saying everyone should do that on day one, but
it's going to take, I've been at this process for 9 years.
Yeah. So, it's going to take time.
It's going to take time.
But that's the cool part, man, is like, once you have, like, the partners are great. And I love, like, I'm sure you work with a bunch of brands. We do too. It's awesome. But building our own roots and foundation where, like, we have business that's just solely dependent on us as a brand, that is what I think is.
And if you look at the top creators, Mr. Beast, Ryan Trennell, Dude Perfect,
those guys are amazing.
Like, you look at all three of those things and their YouTube, there hasn't really been an Instagram or TikTok person that has built what they've built, because their YouTube audience is so big for all three of them.
Got to get into YouTube, dude. YouTube is the game.
And that's the thing it's struggling for us right now is YouTube, because we had our podcast on there. We made the mistake of having our podcast and our lifestyle content on the same channel. And now we have this conflict. And so we're trying to resolve that. I think we have some content coming out that will. But if you look at Jimmy of Mr. Beast and you look at Ryan, so both of them are in Candy. Now, Dude Perfect has this lifestyle app, I guess, for families. So they have different type of content creators that they're paying for, and then people pay for a subscription to their app. So they're all monetizing outside of their partners, their advertising partners. And you have to figure out a product or a brand of how can you monetize outside of the advertising.
Right.
And you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen the flows and ebb and flows of your advertising partners and how much they're willing to spend based on who's the president of the United States at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it. So from a model standpoint, how to word this? From a model standpoint of what you guys have built, what has been like, what's a word of advice that you would give to somebody that is seeking sponsorship for their content?
So I love that question. So I think it's really important to look at what's the value you're providing and make sure that the first thing you should do with any brand partner, I think, is should align and make sure the missions connect, right? Because I can tell you right now, stop looking for the one-off transaction. Don't look for, the $1,000, the $5,000 check that you're going to get one time if you don't see a long-term solution with this brand, because it's just going to feel inauthentic and it's going to probably not perform the way that either you nor the brand partner wants to perform. So I think the first thing is making sure that you're identifying with a brand where you can actually build long-term growth, because the next step to that, right, for any content creator or media company is you want recurring revenue, right? If that's what's going to keep your business alive.
Any business wants recurring
every
revenue.
business wants it. So rather than you don't want to broker the one-off deal, right, that's dependent on the market and the spend and everything. How can you structure something with annualized deals, right, where you're going to get a certain opportunity every month for the brand and for you and for your partners? I think that's the next step. And then I think the last step, right, is figuring out, again, is the time and energy and cost and what we're doing working with this partnership taking away from other
partnerships too,
and other partnerships we could do? Because ultimately the biggest, most important resource, time.
Yes.
And so if you are focused on something that doesn't feel like it's going to fit the long-term growth of what you're trying to do as a business, even if the numbers and the opportunity is kind of rosy and attractive, you're eventually going to have conflict. So that's one of the things that we really try to do is again, it's the prep work, but it's sit down and figure out what the opportunity is and really assess, is this going to further our business? And then in what way is it furthering it? Is it exposure? Is it financial? Is it, credibility? What is the opportunity of the deal? And then I feel can sit down and make a really calculated decision on that. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, from my perspective, it absolutely makes sense. Audience, comment below.
Yeah,
if it makes sense for you. So you have helped multiple people get their careers off the runway.
Mm-hmm.
What has been an artist that you are super excited for? That you're right now, you're okay, they're on the runway. It's starting to go, and they're about to fly.
That's my favorite part of this whole thing is being on
because
the ground floor.
There has to be
there
has to be a science. There has to be this person has it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's an artist? Who has it? Who's up and coming?
Yeah, well, I think A&R is in a really weird spot right now in the music industry because a lot of people are it's just data plugging, because if you think about how the music industry works, right, and we'll break it down, the big major labels, right, they're all trying to improve their market share, right? Some are publicly traded, some are private, doesn't matter. They're all trying to build their market share, which means they need more catalog. Well, what does that mean? They're going to look at data points that are going to de-risk their investment so that they can make more money off their catalog. The problem with that, and again, if I'm working at one of those companies, I get it. But the true aspect of artist development is really finding, trusting your gut before you just go off the data and digging into the artists and the brand of the artist that you see that could be the next thing. And then being in the trenches and doing the dirty work and then watching it succeed. So for me, I'm way more interested in trying to find an artist if they have 50,000 less followers and not the monthly listeners and all this other crap. I'd rather go on that with that artist if I really can connect with their music and their brand and who they are. So with that being said, there are a couple people that I'm super excited about. One artist that I think is really cool, it's the early stages, is an artist. His name's Gareth.
I love his stuff.
He's incredible.
The team listens to him.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So he's from Northern Ireland and he sings country music. I think what's really cool is before I even connected with him on his original music or what he was trying to do, the first thing I thought was so cool is there's a guy from Northern Ireland that is singing country music.
it's a rare.
He's like a 101.
Yeah.
So like that brand and what I think he's bringing to Ireland is like an awareness to country music, and then he's also showing people in America that like country music is more global and it's bigger than we think. And so for me,
I think from like the historical context too, like Ireland is known for its storytellers. I have heard the best stories from my time in Ireland than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah,
because like they tell the stories of the fairy tales and these mystical beasts throughout Ireland, and you're like, what? How much beer were you drinking when this happened?
It was a lot of Guinness. It was a lot of Guinness.
But like, it's just the storytelling in their songs. I love Irish, like true Irish music, not like Boston Irish music, which is great. Like Dropkick Murphys and all this stuff is awesome.
Yeah,
but like true storytelling Irish music, that folk. Not Americana, but like folk music.
Yeah.
That's what I've listened to for years. And so like it's cool to see guys like Gareth who have that storytelling background because of what people from Ireland are known for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's cool. You know, I'm super excited about him. You know, there's a couple other artists that I think are doing like really cool things. I've seen there's an artist, Sammy Arriaga. He's blending like
the Spanish with country music.
and
he's
Latin
doing a
together.
Freaking killer job.
It's so cool because now you got, you know, again, you got people from
and his music videos are great.
Yeah, dude, they're really cool.
They're well done.
So I've actually known Sammy for several years, but you know, for him, it's also been, and he would come on here and share this, but it's been like a slow burn, and that he's been in town for like, I think, you know, 9 or 10 years, maybe longer.
Well, so that brings up a question I wanted to ask you. Is Nashville still a 10-year town?
Well, I think it can certainly be accelerated. I mean, we've seen artists that have come here and in two years.
But will they burn out? Will they last? Will their careers last that long? Like that's another question you have to ask too. Is like, they can have that quick growth, but is it sustainable for 5 years?
Right. Well, I mean, we've already seen a lot of artists that have.
They went this,
had success in the last
and
couple
then they
of years,
went like
and they're struggling. And I think there's a lot of factors because like when you in particularly country as a genre, when you see success, there's so many things that happen just outside of like your music being played everywhere. You have like way more public appearances. You got to go on tour, right? Some people like I know an artist.
You have to have a merch deal,
dude. I know an artist that went on the road, started playing 2,000 person like venues, and had never played with a band before.
That's crazy.
Like, could you imagine? Like,
is it because of TikTok that
just because of the like acceleration of like the music was heard by so many people so quickly that, and it was great music, which is a testament to this artist. But to never play with a band and have to go play for 2,000 people, like, of course there's going to be issues and errors. That's part of why, like, you know, you play whatever it's on Broadway or in your hometown, and you like, you know, you flub a couple chords and you say the wrong thing and you mess up the lyrics. Like that's part of it. So I definitely think it's a matter of like you got to put in the hours to really get there. But you know, that's also not to like discourage anyone that has been in Nashville or a town for 8, 10, 12 years, because we are seeing stories of people that just took them a little bit of time to figure out, you know, who they really are and what they want to say.
I think it comes down to it wasn't their time. That's been on my mind a lot. Like for 5 years, we were under 9,000 followers. But most people would say I'm done. But I said, we're not done yet. I think we're just getting, and I feel like we're just getting started now for what we're going to bring to the market. And so like for us, like for me, that 10-year town's like, it wasn't my time yet.
Yeah.
Now may be my time, or my time may not come for another 10 years.
Right.
But I'm committed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that would commit to what we've built with doing a podcast for 4 years for 5 days a week.
Right.
That's a large commitment.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of coffee, man. That is a lot of coffee.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Blessed Day Coffee, for being our sponsor.
There you go. Is that coffee spot in Nashville that you guys love?
So he's a roaster out of Hendersonville.
Okay, yeah.
He just gets us bags, so that's what we get the team for Christmas. A bag of coffee.
I could use some coffee sponsorship because I'm having at least 2 cups a day now.
I'm on like cup 6 right now. So. But it's you have to put in the hours. It's to get a payout or a payoff, however you want to describe it. You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
What How has it been seeing people experience their own success with your help? Like from a personal side, has that been like you're like, oh, great, that's a win. Let's put it in the checkbook. It's a win. But like, what's that been like for you?
It's been cool, man. I think there are a lot of people that I've noticed, and this is a testament to them, that have found success and have really appreciated not just the help maybe I've given them, but that their close friends and like family and like champions in town have given them. And no matter how big their success has gone, like they're still grounded in that front, which I really, really respect and appreciate. On the flip side of that, you know, there's also a lot of difficulties that come with success. And I've seen some artists that have, you know, gotten, you know, big headed and I think lost friendships and relationships over, you know, something in, you know, the short term, or just, you know, the pressure that comes with, you know, performing. And I think like one of the realities of the industry that I find people outside the industry struggle to understand is when you find success as an artist, you're traveling to multiple cities a week, right? You're on flights, you're playing shows, right? After you play an hour and a half show, after flying 4 hours across the country that day, you're tired and you don't want to talk to someone. But you know, the fan or the friend that's like, oh man, like I need a photo, or like, hey, let's go out and grab a beer, or like whatever it is. It's like, it's nothing against you. It's just, the artist has already spent 12, 14 hours
just to perform.
And so I think that's been like that's a really tough part of the artist journey that I think every artist struggles with. Is it's not that they don't love or care about their fans or their family or their friends. It's just sometimes you can only do so much.
What are your thoughts on experiences that are going to be digital?
Mm-hmm.
So the artist doesn't necessarily have to travel to these different types of cities, but it's a digital experience through like an Apple Vision Pro. I know people are still always going to want live events.
That stuff's crazy. You know, right now we live stream frequently, and we live stream mainly on TikTok and Instagram. So for right now, it's a fairly simplistic setup, but seeing some of these virtual experiences and, you know,
where you can be on you can be on the ground floor of an NBA game and you're experiencing it like you're sitting on the floor.
I think it's really cool. I think those experiences are going to continue to develop as, you know, technology increases rapidly. I still think that there's something really cool about showing up to an event and touching the comedian or the artist or the sports player and getting the fist bump or like giving them a hug, and like that emotional connection, I think, is what makes us human.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that in-person concerts and sporting games and stand-up shows are really ever going to go away, and I certainly hope they don't. I just think that as technology continues to improve, it's going to open the opportunity for access to experiences that might be close to that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
I've been in hospitality and tourism for a very long time. The human touch and communication will never go away.
Yeah.
AIs will replace human jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It's already happening. But from a hospitality and tourism standpoint, that can never change.
Right.
And from a storytelling standpoint, even the smartest AI, it can tell great stories, but it doesn't have the emotions of going through a breakup. It doesn't have the thought perspective of tasting a glorious dish.
Mm-hmm.
And remembering the moments of the people you were with.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yes, it can tell a great story. AI can tell a good story, but it can't play with the mind of, oh, I can talk to this person about food, and they can remember the time that their nana or their grandpa cooked this thing for them, and they remember that moment.
Yeah.
And that moment is what makes reality like real.
Mm-hmm.
If an artist was to move to Nashville today to seek a career in music, what advice would you give them?
First advice is you got to come by the 615 house.
How does that work? Because like I assume you guys have applications up the wazoo.
We see,
like what's your process and what's your vetting like?
So it's funny, like I've recently you can find my personal social media, but I've recently asked people online to, like, if you post a video and you're an artist or a songwriter or you know somebody, like, just tag me. There's thousands of people that have tagged me, which I'm appreciative of, and I'm working through them. But I'll, like, if
how do you work? Like, how you're like, okay, I have this artist, this person's good. Like, I assume you're watching content for 5 hours a day just to.
Well, I don't watch I don't watch a ton of TV or like movies. Like, I would say, like, for me, rather than spending 30 minutes watching like a TV show before bed, I would rather like scroll and find like 10 or 15. And
then do you like you're like, okay, that person's quality of voice meets our standard that we have for 615 House.
It's something, yeah. I mean, my process is, it's the voice, it's the song, could be the brand, the way they look. But, if something catches my interest, the next thing for me to do is like reach out and say, hey, like, found you, on TikTok,
so
Instagram.
How
like,
many?
What's up?
So I guess the question is, on that scale, is it like, can you break it down per percentage? Is 80% of people that you reach out to for 615 House, or is there a balance of like, okay, 45% people reach out to us, 60%?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like the exact mathematical breakdown. I would say it's a little bit of both, like there's, a handful of people that I'm reaching out to.
I assume you have friends that are like, hey, you need to check this guy out.
Well, I got a lot. That was going to say, I'm fortunate to have like a great group of friends here, and also just like, across the world, where if they see something, they'll text me and, or email me and say, hey, check this person out. So when that happens, then even though I am reaching out, I was like referred by somebody. So does that count as me reaching out or them? Whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it's, I think it's like a lot of, it's just a lot of like word of mouth, and it's a lot of people tagging me online. And then, don't be afraid to reach out. Like, why would I have a problem with anyone reaching out? Like, if you're a fan of what we're doing and like believe in the project that I'm building, then like shoot us a message. Again, I can't guarantee that it's the right fit or that this opportunity is going to work out, but I can certainly tell you that like if you message us, we're going to look at it and like at least consider it. I think that's what like people want. It's like,
so with that in mind, if somebody wasn't moving here, but like if they were in New York, have you ever done like a country hip hop type situation? Like,
we've done like some collaboration stuff like outside the genre.
Okay.
First off, I'm a music fan. I'm not a country music fan. I'm a music fan. So like, I grew up listening to rock and roll with my dad. I also love like folk music. I listen to a lot of hip hop and EDM and country music. Like, I feel like also because we have Apple Music and Spotify and YouTube Music, all that stuff, like it's very easy to find music now. And so like, I'm excited for collaborations, man. Like, that's what's cool. Like, I want to see like more artists in Nashville that like collaborate with LA and New York and Chicago and Atlanta and all these other cities that have great music scenes as well. So yeah, like, you don't have to be in Nashville.
So on the 615 House, if somebody was in New York and they were like, oh, I want to be on 615 House. I'm doing country music in New York, but I'm also like mixing it with some like opera.
Yeah.
Which is a great combination.
That's a hell of a combination. It's something I haven't seen before, so send it my way.
Yeah, I have one person in mind. I don't know if she's doing music any longer. But when I lived in Italy, one of the girls at the college, she was like an opera major. Like,
yeah,
traveled the world doing opera and stuff, and like she would just sing. Oh man, it was insane.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I'm not super well versed in opera, but again, I'm a music fan. I'll check it out.
Definitely check out some opera people. I can give you some recommendations.
Please.
So if they were in New York and they were doing some country music, what's the process? Like, would you fly them down, or you say, hey, you guys have to fly down, we'll feature you. You've been approved, you met our brand standard. Like, what's that process for an artist?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first thing is just to jump on a call and like just get the dialogue going. I probably talk to 15 or 20 new artists every week.
That's crazy.
I love it, man.
Yeah, it's I'm thinking of it from a system standpoint.
Oh, it's a lot, man. But like, it's like I'll give somebody like you know, if I'm interested in what they're doing, they reached out, right? It feels like it could be like a good fit. I'll shoot it like it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not like a 2-hour thing. And I'll just be like, hey, like, tell me a little bit more about what you got going on. You got any questions? Like, look, I don't know the answer to everything. Like, I do not know the answer to everything, but I have done this for a couple years now and can offer my perspective and what I would advise. And you can either take it or you can, you know, tell me to run off. So that's been really fun, man. I do those a bunch. And then like when people are either visiting in town, they'll hit us up and like, you know, we'll have them come by the studio. Or, you know, if they are really serious about moving there, like maybe the next conversation is like, do we, you know, work out an arrangement where like, you know, they're moving because of what we're doing and the opportunity we're giving them, which has happened like a couple times. But you know, it's funny, like a lot of the people that we're talking to have either been in Nashville or like have been considering coming to Nashville. So this just might be like a catalyst to like kick them over the edge so that they do move, you know?
Do you find, say they're coming to Nashville with the network you've built? I think a lot of people, when they move to Nashville, they experience loneliness because it's lonely to move across the country. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like they're finding community fast?
I think Nashville does do a great job of that compared to other
markets.
Other markets. I'll shout out a couple friends because they've done it for a while and I love what they're doing. But in the music space, Whiskey Jam and Ward and Ryan and those guys have always been inclusive of the next batch of artists. They have a family of, you know, legacy acts that come back as well. And if you're like a songwriter or an artist and looking to network, I think Whiskey Jam is a place you would go. Right. Similarly, there's a bunch of writers rounds, Matt Burrell, Nikki T, the guys that raised Rowdy. Like,
I just had Matt on the show a couple weeks ago.
Shout out.
His episode hasn't come out yet, but yeah, he's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Matt's a great guy, and Nikki too, and they have a round every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Another place that I would go to, right? So I think, and I could, there's just two examples, but I do think there are a lot of opportunities where you can just go and meet people and find your group. And then from there, like it just comes down to like, you know, work ethic and talent. And, you know, I think you can get the opportunity. And then from there, it's, you know, if you can deliver, right? I mean, then maybe it becomes a bigger thing. So yeah.
What is, and you may not want to reveal this, but what is one dream piece of content that you want to create?
Love that question. I also, like you, have like thousands and thousands of ideas. So trying to I have two dream contents. Maybe this will inspire you. One is I want to take a town that has been dead. Businesses have left. Mm-hmm. I want to come in, I want to film it, and I want to restore it, and I want to make it a tourist destination. You know what's funny, and this is something we have thought about. As I mentioned, we want to do like, you know, festivals and events and like that. I want a town that experience. We want to take an event into a market that you would not expect this event and music to be there. Like Fort Nash and 615 and what we're building, it's not just for Nashville, it's for everyone. So it's funny you say that because that is a goal of ours, is to like pack up the bus and like do a festival somewhere. So
festivals are the way to monetize that town, because I've been in this world for so long.
Yeah, because hotels,
hotel tax, food, beverage. Yeah. So like that's one of my dreams. But like a town that's like it lost all of its money 25, 30 years ago. The factory left. Mm-hmm. I want to come back and I want to restore that factory, like the Franklin factory, something like that.
Yeah.
Where there's this hub for entertainment.
Yeah.
There are people coming in. That's one dream. Another dream project, and somebody probably will steal this.
Got to be careful what you say.
Oh, I know, but is flying hot air balloons over the Natchez Trace Double Arch Bridge in Franklin and doing a hot air balloon festival around that bridge.
Wow.
Somebody may steal that. So,
hey, if that happens, that's pretty cool.
But that's been one of my like dream things. I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So what's like a dream project for you?
I got to think about this. I have like a list of notes.
I have like 10 others, but they're not for the public to know.
Man, I got a couple. I got a couple. Like, well, one thing is like I love Red Rocks as a venue. So one idea would be to throw an event there. Like I said, the festival in a town that is not already developed and has like a venue is super cool. Then outside of like the music and festival side of things, I don't know. I have like a goal. Like we want to do a TV show too. It's funny you mentioned the network. We have been very interested in figuring out how we could make a TV show that like talks about, the lives of these.
Good thing we have the Explore Nash TV coming out soon. Yeah.
Musicians, which is like really cool. I feel like something different. Trying to think of what else I have. That's a hard question, man. Because I'm already we're doing a lot of stuff and like it's cool. Like we get opportunities that I never would have thought of that like are exciting. Like somebody, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. So like I was talking to somebody about like maybe creating our own like craft beer. Like just didn't really think about that, but it was like a craft brewery that like loved our stuff and they reached out and they're like, hey, like would you guys ever want to have like your own craft beer with us? And I was like, I drink beer. I like beer, but I like didn't think that I would want to launch my own beer product line. But like we get like weird things like that sometimes, and it just like sparks ideas of like where I'd want to go. So I don't know. That was a pretty bad answer. I feel like.
Oh,
I'm just
a craft beer sounds cool. We we're filming a video. We're gonna have our own branded ketchup. That's one of my long-term things. I'm like, we're working with a packaging company. We're gonna have our own ketchup. That's kind of crazy.
I actually love that. I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm the other day. I don't know if you've seen that show. But there's Larry David gets a sandwich at a restaurant named after him. It's a terrible sandwich, but he like gets it named after him. And I do have a desire to like, not me, but like our brand have a sandwich. That would just.
Well, good thing we have the strategic partners.
That would really just make like if you just go to the local deli and grab a sandwich. Yeah, 615. Like,
we can set that up. George, if you're listening, let's get some sandwiches going.
Come on.
Yeah. Chris, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, of course.
Where could you guys have incredible content? So where can people give you guys a follow?
Well, I appreciate you I love chopping it up and talking about this kind of stuff. So thanks for having us. If you do want to find out more about specifically the 615 House, we're all across all socials, and that is Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and our website. Again, it's under Fort Nash is the larger company. So if you just type in Fort Nash, on a Google search, you'll find it. And we have all links and information to check out more stuff. So we'd love for you guys to check out the whole network and what we're building. And then if you're specifically a music fan, I think 615 House is a great resource for you to maybe discover a new artist that you might not have found otherwise, and then you can hopefully brag to your friends and say you were a part of their journey.
Give one shout out to one local business.
Love this. This is a great question. Local business. Well, I'm going to start on the burger joint place. Jack Brown's is like one of my favorite burger places in Nashville.
I love Jack Brown's. I'm tired of the smash burger trend.
Yeah.
We have a burger coming out with canned burgers called the Explore Nash Burger. It's going to be on French toast.
Hey,
a 5-inch patty with a pepper jam jelly, crumble blue cheese, and apples. It's going to be amazing. Canned burgers, check them out.
Canned burgers.
Yeah, they're a pop-up burger joint.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
So Jack Brown's is great.
Yeah.
But they're not local. They're based out of Alabama.
Let's do a local business. They do have a couple different shops. So let's see what else I've loved.
If you go to Jack Brown's, get the Elvis Presley burger with the peanut butter, and also do my burger's not going to have the pepper jam jelly. That's a different thing. It's going to have the peanut butter with the apples and blue cheese crumble. Get the deep fried Oreos, Jack Brown's.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let me do some other local ones. First off, you mentioned coffee. I will shout out. There's Osa Coffee, which is a great coffee spot. Probably one of my favorite coffee spots. Fuels all Music Row. Shout out to Osa Coffee. Let's see, clothing. I like Buffalo Exchange. They have some cool stuff.
Never been.
You never been?
Yeah.
Buffalo Exchange is great. It's a thrift store, but and a retail store, but like it's really cool because they'll take like if you want to like get rid of clothes, like they'll take clothes
That's cool.
and then like kind of flip them up or whatever, and then they will often take like. Well, your shirt's pretty classy as is, but like they could take my shirt and then like redesign it.
Put like some patches and stuff.
Patches and then like sell it. So it's kind of cool in the fashion space. So I don't know. I'm gonna shout out those two, I guess.
All right.
and Jack Brown's, even though they're not local. But
well, that's it. Chris, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, guys. We'll talk soon.